I am so excited. Today's topic for the episode is on human design. I know many of us have heard about human design, but what does it really mean and how can it benefit you on your day to day? It is one of the most incredible tools that I've worked with. And if you haven't heard about it, you're going to hear about all the great benefits of knowing your own human design and how you can better interact in your life and how you're better perceived in your life, and also what a great impact it has into understanding your human design. And a shout out to Alexander for introducing me to human design. Today's guest is Rhonda Cribbs. She is a certified human design mentor. She's a second generation from the Rayuru, which was the founder. Rhonda is very authentic with the human design. She knows the ins and outs, and she's just a treasure trove of information. I am just so honored to have her here today. She does immersions, one-on-ones. I had the incredible opportunity of having a session with her, and it was life-changing. If you're looking to find your authentic self, the human design is really your go-to tool. I'm really just so honored to have her here. Rhonda did a 2.5 hour session with me, and I have learned so much about myself. I wanted to have her on this episode because I think it is important for everyone to really understand their design, how you're perceived, how you connect, how you communicate, how you're seen, how what's maybe your life's purpose. If you have children that are young, knowing their human design is important. I can't even begin to tell you how important it is. Enjoy the episode, share it. Thank you for everybody that's been sharing, writing, interacting on social media. That's what it's about. It's about sharing tools and techniques to raise our level of consciousness in whatever way that looks for you. I have been guided to have this platform and through my mediumship as well to really bring in new information to you so that you can harness being more authentic and living a more of a fulfilling life. Welcome, Rhonda. I just introduced you. We're all eager to get started on the human design and the benefits and how great it is to know your design. I had also shared that I had gotten this amazing session with you. It was very lengthy. We went down the rabbit hole of my particular design, and it was so refreshing to hear your perspective with all your knowledge. Tell us a little bit about you.
Would you like to hear
Uh-huh.
a bit about me? Okay. And I do work best being asked yes, no questions, even though I'm emotional. It helps to have a little bit of minutes in between and then sometimes to be re-asked a question. And that way, because initially there isn't something there, but later on there's something that could be there bringing depth. It's quite different from sacral authority where they get and then they could have words right away. That sometimes can happen and sometimes it doesn't, and everybody's so unique anyway. And sometimes I need to pause so that I can make sure that whatever I'm saying is actually coming from my body's intelligence and not my mind.
We learned that.
Yeah, first off, thank you so much for having me, inviting me, and asking me to be a guest on this podcast and giving me time to feel into it. And I was so excited, and it is my very first podcast. Um, and so, thank you so much. And my hope is that it reaches somebody or whoever it's meant to reach that is being called into this information.
I love it. Thank you so much. We're so honored to have you.
Oh, thank you. And it really, truly is a calling into. Something came to me this morning as I was these wonderings that passed through me. Is it, I woke up one morning and said, oh, I'm just going to follow my strategy and authority and okay, let's do this. No, it's my unique experience with this process, and I can only speak from my experience and from my slice of a perspective, is that I had enough, let's call it suffering in my life and things just falling apart and not working. It was the pain that shook me and began my process of exploring things. Way back, it seemed to really accelerate in the mid 2000s, around 2005 ish. By 2008, I was part of a worldwide spiritual organization. One of my journeys connected me to somebody with that. And through that organization, there was so many different healing modalities, let's just say meditations and all kinds of things that came through. Most of them began to fall away later on through my exploration of it, but it was human design, and it came to me in 2008. And now I have emotional authority. I'm a 6'2" emotional authority, pure manifesting generator. I'm only mentioning this channel because I really don't like to get into deep with this. Is I have channel of charisma, which according to the human design information makes me a pure manifesting generator. We're very different even from the generators, although we're the same type because we have the same open and enveloping aura, which makes us very vulnerable. So we have to be asked yes, no questions, and we have to follow however your authority plays out for you to be protected, is what I've discovered. The thing is that it took me 4 years and I didn't know what was happening to decide that from a woman's voice I heard making sounds I felt, wow, I've never experienced anything like this before. Hearing this, how she makes sounds to make decisions, she interacts with her husband this way. She had an extensive medical health background. She was a multi-millionaire herbal floral essence, successful business in Seattle, Washington, had a reading, sold everything, went to Ibiza and trained with Ra over 10 years. And she became Kathy Kinnaird, she became my analyst and my friend.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I wanted to ask you, so just for the listeners that don't know what human design is and who is who for you, or who, can you just give us a brief summary of who is who for you, or who, and then maybe just five of the types, just so people
Uh-huh.
understand?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Ra'uruhu is not his original name. It was a name that came to him, and there's different stories I've heard about that. But after he had a mystical experience on the island of Ibiza, Spain. He's originally from Canada, and he basically had his own challenges that drove him to just pretty much drop out of society and relocate to Ibiza, Spain. And he had a 7 day, after so much time there, he had a mystical experience in 7 days where he received this information that came through a voice, is what he referred to it. He went mad almost and wanted to destroy this information. He just thought, who's going to be interested in this? This is so far out. And went through a depression, and somebody that recognized some of this ancient information said, please don't get rid of it. I feel this will be of value to people. And I'm not really sure what happened, but he went into his own investigation. He was a 5-1 manifester. He went into his own exploration and investigation to verify it before he began to release it to the public, which really was not until this happened in 1987, interestingly enough, the same year as the harmonic convergence, when a star exploded and we got hit with 14 times the amount of neutrinos. He was speaking about this before it even got announced in the science community because it was information that got released in this mystical experience. And what's ironic is that he was not a spiritual person whatsoever. He was actually on the island of Ibiza. He was teaching children in a classroom and doing all kinds of other unusual things, but he was teaching with an accelerated program. He was teaching children. And so anyway, just that's a side note because we're both shared that profession. And so basically then he began releasing it somewhere in the early 90s to mid 90s in Europe, and eventually coming later on to America. Las Vegas, Sedona, and Taos, New Mexico were the three prime areas, but there was some places in California and New York and
Well,
even
no, it's blown up. It's international. There are apps. Everybody's talking about the human design.
I
So,
know. And
and
it,
I love hearing your take on it. There's the projector,
huh?
reflector, generator, manifesting generator, and manifester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's the manifester on the hierarchy of types. There's a manifester. They're the only ones that can initiate because they have an aura that protects them. It's a repelling aura. It actually invisibly keeps people at bay. They are about 17% of the population. And then there's reflectors. They are the rarest of the type, and they are about 1% of the population. And they're here to be the canary in the coal mine. They can show a community whether it's healthy or not. They're very different, and they're the only of the four types, the only lunar being. Every other being is related. They're called solar beings. I have a deep connection with the star, the sun, and they're rare. You can encounter them. I was with somebody that was a reflector at the time I was getting into human design, interestingly enough, another 6'2" reflector. But the most common type is the generators and the manifesting generators. They both have an open and enveloping aura. And backtracking a little bit, manifestors are here to inform and have peace. They're not here to be angry. Reflectors are here to be surprised by what they see different in the community they're in, not disappointed. And generators are the most common type, here to be satisfied and love anything that they do. It doesn't matter what they do. They have open and enveloping auras, and they're here to wait to respond. They're here to be asked, ideally, yes, no questions, and allow their authority to respond how it will, and to determine what is correct for that body's life or not. And if they're operating correctly, they will experience satisfaction and not frustration. If they're a manifesting generator, they'll have anger, and they'll have frustration and anger.
That's what I am, a manifesting generator.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are little signposts that maybe you're not making decisions right, or something's gone off, and maybe you've accidentally initiated into something. These are little key things to be aware of. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you may on some level been living, living correctly, but every once in a while you slam into a wall. Generators don't slam in a wall as hard as a manifesting generator does, because manifesting generators, because of the difference in their energy, how it's designed, it's a throat sacral connection. They just move quickly, and they are here to be efficiency experts. They're here to learn the steps, but then eventually see what steps they can skip.
Because generators tend to be very critical, right? They're perceived as critical, would you say? Or not necessarily. So manifesting generators are,
Uh-uh, uh-uh.
you know,
Maybe some have something in
they-
their design that makes them critical, but they just move a little bit fast. And it's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 order. It can be an A, and then they go to Z, and then they come back to L. It's just the way their energy can appear to be not flowing. It's how their energy does flow for them. They're very quick. And generators are more step by step. And so the two can actually get a little bit irritated with each other. Why are you going so slow? And we could do it this way. And then there could, if you don't have understanding, there could be misunderstanding. And if you understand the mechanics in human design, it brings awareness, it brings understanding. This is just who they are. You can't change them. Human design is the science of differentiation. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, let's bring it down to kindergarten level, layman terms. It's for decision making. It's where to learn how your body has a built-in inner authority to make decisions for itself. We were all conditioned, came in with, I listen to my parents, they tell me what to do. I listen to God, they tell me what to do. I listen to my dog, it tells me what to do. I listen to my boyfriend, it tells me what. I listen to my peers. You listen to people listen to everybody else, but they don't listen to themselves, and this creates blame and shame. Ra used to say this is the information for no fault living.
That's very deep.
And my dear mentor, Marianne Winiger, who's very well known in the human design world, said this is the recipe for harmony through understanding.
That's why I think it's so invaluable to know your design, how you're perceived, how you interact, what, when you told me I was a manifesting generator and you had to ask me yes and no questions. When I was introduced to the human design, I was never told that from that perspective. And so now I'm working on my we can talk about that towards the end. But it's made a difference. And then those around me, I'm like, okay, ask me yes or no questions. I've got an atrophied sacral authority. Is that what you atrophied?
And you don't even have to tell anybody what it is. You could just say I'm in a process of just getting to know myself, and I found that something I'm exploring. And if you ask me some simple yes no questions, something that won't engage my mind, which is trying to be a sneaky devil on me, you don't even have to say that. And can we play? Can we just play with this a little bit?
Love that. That sounds
play
fun.
and explore and see what you discover for yourself. Now, Rod did recommend when you first come to this, even emotionals, authority beings, to get with a trusted person and have them ask, now for sacral authority, a bunch of questions. Now, not so many in the beginning with emotional. You might be able to sneak in 3 or 4, but the difference between the emotional authority and the sacral authority is you can fire off a whole bunch more than you can with an emotional authority being. They need really, ideally, one good question and just let them process that. It's on the burner, it has to percolate. It's going through a chemical process. It's a chemical process in the body that they have no control over. Please,
Oh,
I ask, give them, these are the people that need time, because then they come back with depth that the sacral authority people don't have. I say emotional authority, sacral beings are like dolphins. They stay more on the surface. They're playful, they're light. They don't need to know what's at the bottom of the ocean. They don't need to know there was a pink coral down there. They're just light and fluffy and moving along, but they see that there's these emotional beings that are like these blue whales and that have to go down to the bottom of the ocean, and they're down there. When will they ever come up? We don't know. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, but boy, I bet they're going to have something to share with us that will bring the depth, and
right.
this is their gift. And so sacral beings are the person with the camera that just go out and they snap a couple pictures and they already know which one they're going to use. An emotional being, they're going to have a dozen of the same flower, and they're going to have the flower on a sunny day, the flower on a cloudy day, the flower during the seasons. And so these are just little analogies to give you a little sense of the differences of them. And sacral beings can appear to be spontaneous, but they're just following their sacral sounds and they're moving along. Where the emotional beings, when it comes to decisions, are making it's processing at a different frame of time, a time frame, and they need time. Time is their ally, and they're not trying to play hard to get, although they can appear that they are, like, what's the matter with this person?
Yeah.
And they can get pressured, which can really throw them off. And if they get pressured into making decisions and they go into something that wasn't correct for them, hence, this is where we fall into the frustration and the anger if they're a manifesting generator.
So for somebody that doesn't know their design, it's just you have to have your birth date and the hour you were born.
Yes. You start with really making sure you have accurate birth time, because 1 minute off can be a different type that you're looking at. It's more common that there's deeper changes, but you want to make sure you have the right birth time, either from checking with parents. Moms usually are a good resource, or applying to where the state you were born. There's a way to get birth chart that way. And if you're really having a hard time, a radical approach is going to a Vedic astrologer and having a birth chart rectification, which I've done all three.
Oh, okay. To
Yeah,
find.
I did all three because I was radical. I was really pulled into this radically. And meeting Kathy, I was invited to meet Kathy in person eventually after taking classes with her after my reading. We thought I was going to become an analyst. I met her and a bunch of other professionals at that time, that actually one of them was the director of human design, which was Randy Richmond, and he's no longer here either, as Ra. Human design changed my life. It brought understanding to me about who I am in this world. It's brought more satisfaction into my life, more just letting go and a trust in life.
Right.
And this inner stability is incredible, because we can't control what's going to go on in the outside world. Whatever's going to happen out there is going to happen. But if I have this cultivation of this inner stability within myself, that's my anchor, that's my foundation, and that's what I have, and that's what I just hold on to with dear life.
Because you have that deep understanding.
And that was the gift. Now, Ross said, this is for children. This information, human design, is for children. And it's really about loving yourself.
That's powerful. Yeah. And we had talked about this in the past, that it's great for parents to know your children's human design, because then you can better relate to your child, or if you're in a partnership or even in business. So just understanding more about how people are receiving you. Like, I have a very forceful way of coming off. And it was really because of the human design that I was able to understand myself more. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to pause, or I'm too much in my mind. Let me get out of my mind. Let me go into my sacral authority and let me just sit with it. So knowing it is, I would say, one of the most important things is to know yourself. It's like astrology. What sign are you in human design?
Oh yeah, would you like to hear about the difference between astrology and human design?
I love it. I think that definitely.
From my understanding, from where I am now, in this now, and what I've heard Rod do in a full, which is actually on the YouTube somewhere, it's one of his early long interviews on a radio show. Astrology is interpretive, okay? And it has part of the picture. It could, depending on, because there's a lot of different kinds of astrologies out there. And through my journey, I've gotten exposed to a lot of them. just an awareness. But it's like part of the picture of what you are. And from what I can tell in human design, you're getting the conscious and the unconscious with the astrology that I'm aware of, and I could be wrong, I'm not an expert. You're not necessarily getting the whole entire picture, and it's interpretive. With human design, it's more exact. If you have the correct birth time, and from my experience and what I've seen, not only in myself, but in the hundreds of charts of people that I've worked with over 15 years, and people I've personally known that are not clients, it's like I just look at the information and I say something to them, and they're like, you really know me, Rhonda. I'm just looking at this information, but that's just a piece of paper. I know you real time, and through experience, I've seen these things that you go through, and it's right here. And so, undeniable. I have not encountered, and not that I'm an expert or anything with astrology, but I just haven't personally seen that.
This is more about your personality, how that individual fingerprint. I feel like that I said that in the intro, it's so specific because your design really talks about your energy, your mental, your emotional, how you process, how you don't, how you receive. It really gets into the personality. It goes in, you do a deep dive with the human design on the individual level.
And it's not just the personality side, which would be astrology, it's the body side, the blood, the organs, everything connected to the organs. Everything, when you look at a human design chart, is connected to something within your body.
I see the chart
Okay.
behind you, which is beautiful.
Yes, and that's from an event I did in Las Vegas at a yoga studio, and I just keep it hung up. So it's the unconscious that you get, and so you bring the two. Now, this is very interesting and something really essential to keep in awareness, is that it's a very gorgeous, beautiful system. And you could take human design and literally study it for the rest of your life. But Ra, the founder, said this himself. That's not the point. No matter how deep he went with his students, and I've heard him say this, he always pulled them back to strategy and authority. He said, because this is truly about transformation and somebody coming back to their own inner authority so that they can live who they are. That's the frequency that changes things on this planet. That's what impacts everybody, is when you truly live who you really are, there's a frequency. It's not distorted.
You're really living your design. And now we have discussed in the past too that it takes 7 years to restart when you really start working with the system.
Uh-huh.
Is that, can you talk to us a little bit about that? Or can you
Uh-huh.
just do it for a year or two? Or it has to, you got to fully do the 7 to.
Uh-huh.
Wait, let's just use mine as an example. So I had used that example in the beginning, like an atrophy sacral authority, just to make it simple for people. I haven't really been doing the yes or no, sitting in my sacral. So somebody like me that's been, I guess, off, what would you say? That would take 7 years to get that reinstated or back into living my design?
Would you like to hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh. I'm learning on the uh-huh.
No, it's okay. It takes time. I've had this question I put out to in my early days. I wanted to know, when did the 7-year deconditioning process start? Did it start from the day I had my foundation reading? Did it start sometime after that while I was in classes? And then did it start by January 2013? All the foundation classes were finished, and I entered into the live immersions, which is a whole nother topic to get into. But the live immersions, I was asked more than once, is this when it started for me? And I had a uh-huh. And I still feel pretty clear on it. It's not that there wasn't maybe some cellular changes and things that were already starting to happen, but in my experience, it wasn't until I got radical, really, the all bets are off here now. And it wasn't like my mind made that decision. It was my body was just going into this. It was just responding into this very, very difficult process. This is not an easy process. And that's why I really say you almost have to feel called into it. It's not something you can get to from your mind. The only way you can go through this is in your body, following your strategy and authority. And as a grown up, from my experience and somebody I know, my mentor living it herself, Marianne Winiger, and conversation with the founder is he said to her in an email, you had to go radical, didn't you? And she said, uh-huh. Somebody said that to me, uh-huh. I had to be radical in this, and I have to be willing to let go of relationships, different things that no longer served because my frequency was changing. So it really accelerated for me January 2013 when I went to my first live immersion in Sedona with Marianne. That's when it, oh my gosh, I thought I was dying. Okay.
Right.
I'm not really gonna sugarcoat this at all. This is,
Yeah, it's you're doing some deep work because you're
oh my God. You talk about taking the road less traveled. This is something that's even beyond that road. I don't know where it is. I went, it's not for the faint of heart, but at the same time, it has to be something your body says yes to. And it can't come from your mind. And this is where it took me. And here I am over 15 years, 2 full 7-year cycles. Why radical? Because as a grown up who's been deeply homogenized and conditioned away from honoring my own inner authority and living my own true frequency, there's so many patterns and things that have to be cleaned out, and deconditioned is a term they use in human design. And that's what you go through, and it's a physical thing, an emotional thing. It's every single level of you, you're going through a cleansing process,
and so with the
literally.
authorities, when you talked about your inner authority, can you talk about a little bit about that?
Oh, there's other authorities. Of the authority, the two biggies for generators, you're either sacral authority or that's the most, I don't know what the percentages are off right now. I don't want to really, but there's splenic authority, but that's for the projectors and for the manifestors. And there's ego, which is for manifestors and projectors too. They can have ego. And then there's emotional authority, which could be for projectors too, and for manifestors. If anybody that has a definition in solar plexus, automatically, no matter what, they have emotional authority. That's the easy way to look at that. If they don't have their sacral center defined, not colored in, that means that there's another authority within their design that is their authority. And this is what this process brings you back to, is your own inner authority. And there's a term called shattering. When you go into this process, there's things that maybe you thought were working for you, and or you get to see things as your consciousness, your awareness expands. These places within your design begin to get cleaned out, and so there's an expansion of how you see things, your unique way, which really can, wow, you didn't see maybe this pattern you got stuck in continually. It begins to get cleaned out, and eventually these patterns can fall away because you're creating new neural netting in your brain.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
It's
because
radical.
yeah, and you also will get an understanding of what the mind truly is. I didn't understand what these words were in my head. And so there's that. And through the immersions, I learned what the mind was. I learned what waiting was. What's waiting? What's this wait to respond? I went there and I found out because I really was not, the classes were not helping me live this.
So the
Okay.
immersions are more, it's like doing an intensive retreat with the human design. Is that what the immersions
Uh-huh,
are?
uh-huh. Yes, and I've been to over several years of live immersions. And then I went for facilitator training in April 2019, and I've been asked to hold live immersions. And this is specifically for people called into radically following their strategy and authority. And it's for those people because they need support, and it has to be correct. Obviously, the people that come to me for this, it has to be the correct for them and me, and it's for those people specifically. It's not a teaching of human design.
Right.
It's a how to really live, how to apply this and live it in my life, and also provide support for a very difficult process of deconditioning. And it's no two immersions are the same.
I can
They're
imagine.
very, very different for depending on who shows up. I've been in immersions with all types. I've seen a lot, let's just say, and experienced a lot, and it was amazing to see. It was comforting to be in a room knowing there was other people going as radically as I was. Most likely, I can't say for sure, but they were definitely seemed committed enough. I met a woman that was in a wheelchair that flew all the way from Germany to come to a live immersion
Oh my God. Wow.
two
That's
times
dedication.
in a wheelchair to be in that room, and things happen, and just yeah.
Well, I know with me, what happens with the human design is that it's just there's so much information that my retention, I just have a hard time understanding it. There's just so many facets to it. Do you find that most people have that same issue in understanding the system? Because it's just so much information and so many different
Uh-huh.
ways of understanding. You got the gates, you got the channels, which is another aspect. And then you have the authorities. And I just sometimes I think that for the majority it might be complex. That's why I like your sessions, because you do the reading and then you do a 30-minute and then you do another 30-minute follow-up. And then that helps the person kind of assimilate what you just said.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a very profound system. It's not just, oh, I'm a manifesting generator, I'm a 6-2. And then what do you do with the information? How do you apply it? How do you understand it? How do you work with it? So the immersions, how long is an immersion? 3 days, a week, or?
It can be 3 to 5 days. Would you like
Okay.
to hear about the
Yeah.
conclusions? Yeah, I've
I'm
been
practicing.
asked. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know I was practicing my sacral
Yeah.
authority.
I want to backtrack. You said something that it's overwhelming, the information. Can I share with you something about that?
Yes.
Okay. You don't need to know that to transform.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
even know that, you don't even focus on, in an immersion, you don't even focus on type, because type does not matter if you're not living your design. And actually, nothing else in your design really matters unless you're actually living who you are. You could be focused, oh, I have this gate. And believe me, I've been the fly on the wall and watched many conversations. They're so focused on one channel as who they are that it's not really who they are. Okay. So it's the sum, it's the total, the sum that gets played out of your design. Something gets out pictured, something gets birthed. It's the culmination of all those orchestra. Pretend it's a musical orchestra of all different kinds of band members in your chart. They all will play music you will not want to listen to if they're not living their true self.
Mm.
But it becomes a symphony as you follow your strategy and authority. There's something so unique that plays out that nobody, not even the founder, could tell you what that is. You play music, you play a song that will attract your fractal to you. I've had a conversation because I teach and work with families, and I work with actually children in this information. And they don't need to know all of that. You only need to know your strategy and authority. You wouldn't even maybe even need to know your type. Seriously. I'll save you a lot of money right here, right now. Really. The strategy and authority in and of itself would be all somebody needs. But if you know your type, okay, it's the beautiful thing is because you start studying human design, it easily puts you up in your mind. I'm sorry, but it really does. And it just is beautiful mental candy that you could study for the rest of your life and it won't necessarily transform you. Not for what I'm seeing in this. And I've been in this and I've talked to other teachers that have been in this a very long time. So, what brings transformation is following your strategy and authority. That's all they would need to know. And that's what I focus on when I work with my clients. So anybody coming to me most likely is going to be somebody really getting called into this. Otherwise, I'm probably not for them. If they want to come and learn human design, I'm probably not the person for them. Although I can teach you a living your design course, I'm certified to teach that. But all that does is it focuses on, it takes you through all the centers. It
Right.
gives you a little bit of the history on the crystals and all of that. And then a little bit of a backdrop story about Ra. It gets into the centers deeply and how the not self, when you're not living your design, how the not self shows up. Because you will need to know how that may manifest for you to see, oh, there's that again. Okay. How did my mind get me in that trap again? There's certain things you will, if you're really dedicated to this process, you'll need to know, which through coaching with me or live immersions with somebody, if not me or somebody else, you can learn these things. And then you learn the way they have it set up, you learn about types at the very end, which I found very interesting, but that's okay. They change the way the format is, and I can make it any way I want. I can teach one person or a whole class.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's the most spiritual class out of all the human design classes, and I can do that, and I've done it. However, the thing I really feel called to offer, and I've been asked to do, is immersions, because that's the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of helping support somebody in their process to want to really apply this in their life. And they get to be in a room with other people doing the same thing. So we experiment together and we do different exercises and games and interactive things. And it can be 3 to 5 days. Now, I've been offered a beautiful space surrounded by bamboo gardens in Sedona, Arizona for January 2026. It's most likely January, February. It's going to probably be, there's not going to be any fancy big announcement. It's going to be by word of mouth for the people that are meant to hear about this. And it's most likely going to be 5 days.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's 8-hour days or no?
No, it's only 3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours. Because I
Yeah,
was
it's
gonna
usually
say.
10 to 1. And then you get the whole rest of your day to explore Sedona or whatever you want to do.
Well, I'm definitely gonna come. You need to put me on your list because I want to do an.
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely. I just think it's so important, especially I work with children as well, and I did the charts for the kids, and it just made it a lot easier understanding how to better approach them. So if you're a parent listening to Puerto Místico and you're listening to this, Rhonda has a lot of information and experience working, and when you're working with children, it's the parents that have to get the information so they can better know the child personality in order to work with the children's design. Imagine if you're a family of 6 or 7, you have all these different personalities. How are you gonna? I know families that have more than 3 children, and I take care of 3 children as it is, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and they're all manifestors.
Gosh, that is incredible. And I had that too. I was a part-time tutor. I was homeschooling them, babysitting them. The mother was a manifester. I never approached her. I just, something that energetically told me I don't go up to that person. Later on, I got her birth information. I pulled it up. Wow. And then when I brought up the children, and I would not tutor them because I was radical in my human design, I would tell the parents who would interview me, and want to hire me, I would say the children, especially if they're manifestor children, they have to choose me. And
Mm.
I would wait.
Oh, wow.
And it would be them calling me a week or two later to say they want you. And
Oh,
it was incredible because then I knew I entered into that role correctly and they knew I was going to be there. They were informed. And very interesting because the house manager was an ego projector and she runs the whole house. She's still running the house. And these kids are on the way to college. One more has to go, one more year of high school. And I went to go see them. I had to stand on my tippy toes to hug them. And I started with these boys when they were 5 and 6 years old. And it's like,
oh, they are blessed to have you in their life to help.
oh, yes. And I told all of them, I said, inform, inform, inform. What am I going to do? The seeds are planted. I think
Yeah, that's why I enjoy sharing that the human design is really important for children and their development because imagine if I would have known my parents would have worked with my design from a young age, I could have avoided a lot of circumstances and situations, even though everything happens for a reason. But what a gift to be able to help a child or assist them to really embrace their design. So that's why I just
oh,
thought I'd mention that because I
yeah.
love what you said about knowing your strategy and authority is like playing a symphony when you're finally in your own inner magic, then life has just become so much easier. Because I remember for those that are in mentally active, and I'll just share my personal story with Rhonda when she said, just get out of your head and just wait. It will happen. Things will come in the more you get out your own head. I think it's an invaluable system to share with the audience. To tell us a little bit about what you offer. You offer the immersions, you do the, I guess you call them readings. They're about 2 hours, and then you do two follow-up sessions, which is super important. And then you record the sessions. Thank goodness that they get recorded because there is a lot. And then you do work with businesses at all, or do you just, are you, or is it more individual and children?
Would you like to hear?
Uh-huh.
Just putting it out there. Hey, it's for people to be aware of how to ask questions. And one of the things that I offer as far as my services go is working with people to come back to their sacral authority. And I have set questions that I work with them. And it comes from your belly, it doesn't come from your throat. So it's a whole little process that we go through and it's helping person to reconnect with that, and it takes time and everybody's different. When that begins to really start flowing for you, it will be unique and different for your journey and path with it. But I do mainly work with individuals, and mainly people that find me come from word of mouth. My teachers send me clients because most of my mentors now are working on retiring.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, that generation that pretty much trained, at least the teachers I work with, they're still doing some things. They're slowly starting to look.
You said you were second generation.
Second generation, yes, because I
Work
work
with
with the
Guru
first
Ra,
generation
right?
teachers. Yeah. So
Okay.
basically I do readings for people which are 2 to 3 hours long, and they do include two 30-minute support calls. Those do get recorded. And if they're a projector, I allow them to bring in a chart of one or two people they're close with. They're a little bit different because they learn about themselves through their interaction with other people, where it's different for the other types. I do work with all the types. I work with generators, manifesting generators, reflectors, projectors, and manifestors. So I also offer living your design workshops for people that want to really have a deeper understanding of their centers. If it's colored in, what does that mean? As opposed to it's white, what does that mean? Okay. And how I differentiate between my true self and my not self? How can I catch when my mind is interfering with decisions? There's many different things that you can learn from the reading and coaching and the deeper aspects of it, still staying on surface with living your design. because I'm still going to focus on transformation for my clients because I really feel that's who I'm here for. And I'm really here for those connected to children. And the thing is that we can't, side note, we can't get out of our mind. We can't turn the mind off. We're here. You will learn this through working with me, that we're here to watch the mind. The mind becomes your teacher.
Ooh, I like that.
Shows you where you've been conditioned away from yourself and where you've been identified with everything that you're not. What you hate is not even you. It's what you think you are. So we can really get into that understanding of the mind's true role, because the mind's true role is for outer authority, like me sharing with you now. And it will be so helpful to have an understanding of that if you're going into your process. And then I do offer the live immersions when it feels correct. And it has to be the right place for me, because place is everything for me. I have an undefined G center. So if you have an undefined G center, you place is everything for you, and something, a little tidbit of learning deeper into the centers. And then I'm just open. I was paid to spend a week with a client, real time in that client's life. It's something new, but
Wow, I love it. It's fascinating.
he provided me with the housing in exchange, and we worked something out for me to be there. And then he actually even was bringing me clients, and it was incredible. And what birthed from that is that I'm also open to the capacity to doing live person coaching. And we're here to be very unique, and that's a very unique offering that I'm also putting out there too. That
Wow,
do
that's
that.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Imagine having that guidance,
Real
having
time. It was so powerful, and I could help him see things that he said that if I wasn't there, he would have ended up going into a pattern that would have sabotaged the relationship. I helped him bust his own mind from trying to sabotage something that's very quite beautiful and special happening. And obviously, you need breaks and things like that. He was a very busy person and stuff, but we worked it all out, and it was amazing. I had my own place. He provided a place, he provided the meals, and we exchanged and worked that out. And it was just amazing. Anyway,
wow, that's
yeah.
beautiful. I love hearing that. That's very unique perspective working with
Yeah.
someone one-on-one, because usually everything's online. So where regardless of where you are, you do your remote sessions and then you'll have your immersions. What would you say to somebody that's wanting to do a human design reading with you? What is some of the other benefits of getting a human design to better understand yourself? Because I love that what you said, to play the symphony, knowing yourself, and to just have that symphony instead of living in the unconscious. Because I think a lot of us live in the unconscious, like we're just like little robots, and we're conditioned and we're just going along, and everybody's looking for some depth. But and I think human design offers that.
Now I'm feeling a response, because it's a practice, right? We're learning a new dance. And sometimes toes get stepped on, right? You feel awkward. You're on this dance floor and you're trying to tune into your orchestra, whatever way. And it's okay. You go into this full practice, and there's no mistakes, only discoveries. You can't do it wrong. And this is not a belief system. Let's be clear on this. There's no guru to follow. You are it. Are you ready to walk through the door and understand yourself? Would you like to remove some resistance in your life? Would you like to work with me? Do I feel like a correct person to work with for you?
I love that.
This is life changing. Are you ready to have some change in your life? And human design is not a panacea. There might be another tool out there that's working for you. But for human design, I find that it's people that things are not working for them. It's
They're not working. Yes. Yeah, so they're
uh-huh.
like, okay, I'm really going to dive deep into this and see where I can start creating miracles or start creating the life that I want. I think many of us are really just want to find that your authentic self and just walk that path with ease and grace. And we've
Uh-huh,
been
uh-huh,
so conditioned, unfortunately, through our lives. And if you don't even know who you are or what you're about and how you're moving about, and oh, this is how I didn't know this about me. Oh, I've been doing this for 30 years, 40, 50, 60 years. Hey, I
uh-huh,
wish somebody would have told me this 40 years ago. I could have avoided a lot of situations. Everything is in divine order, and we all have
uh-huh,
to go through
uh-huh.
our experiences. But hey, I'd rather dance to the symphony than to just be wobbling and not living my better life or my better circumstances.
Oh, yes, because you get yourself. That's who you get. You are, Marianne would say, you are your soulmate. That's
Oh,
your
I love
true,
that.
your true soulmate. And all this talk about law of attraction, which by the way is completely opposite of human design, because it's a mind trip. It's a mental mind game, okay? But if you want the true law of attraction, you follow your strategy and authority. That's the real.
Manifestation.
Yeah, that's the real, if that's what you want to call it, because it's all there for you. You get a deep relaxation because you just let go. It's all there for you. It really is. The stars all have it planned out, your destiny or whatever you want to call it, your karma, your dharma. I mean, this is one of the biggest byproducts I can tell you about human design is that you get relaxed. And in this day and age, with everybody stressed out, trying to find every kind of supplement you could take to be not stressed out, it's unbelievable because the majority of the world is living not self. That you can feel the anger on this planet, you can feel the frustration, you can see it on people's faces, the bitterness, which is the signpost for projectors. Projectors are here to have success. And by the way, projectors have a very special gift and dynamic and mechanic between generators, which you could learn more about through getting readings or coaching or whatever to find out. It's a very special relationship. They all are, but especially with the generators and projectors, you want to know who they are and how the interaction works. And you have disappointment, and this is the frequency of the planet that we live on. It's
Right. Yeah. Everybody's
so
looking. We're all just looking everywhere outside of ourselves to find
oh,
it.
yeah. Everybody's following every other authority, and human design brings you back to your own. It cleans you out. It brings you in so you can play your music as your unique, beautiful self. We're not here to be cookie cutter Stepford wives and husbands, and we are here to be truly, authentically unique. And the thing is, human design is not for everyone. It's for very specific people. I am here for my trajectory. It's a narrow road, and there's only very specific people, and it's one person at a time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because, it is a lot. It is.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that's what I'm here because then that's if that's going to be my legacy, then oh my gosh, this work is just so precious. It really is such a gift and a privilege when I get to work with somebody with this because I see what I went through, and if I could pass this along to help somebody else transform and be a support to them, it's
That's so beautiful. And so I
yeah,
really felt that. I really felt that's really your mission and, your purpose, and you're really aligned with it, and you're very good at what you do. And just wrapping things up here, I know my reading was very impactful. I learned so much. I do have to listen to the recordings all the time. I have to listen to it over and over again just as a reminder. But yeah, I just want to thank you so much for living out your purpose and doing your work, doing it and being so passionate about it. Because a lot of people, I think along the way, sometimes lose a little bit of that momentum. We're just doing things to do it, but you come
uh,
so much from the heart. And I think that's what's going to attract all those wonderful souls to get that alignment
Uh-huh.
with you. But I'm going to put all your details down on
Thank
the
you.
notes, and then we'll have it on YouTube. And I would definitely love to have you back, and we can talk about other things with the human design that you're
Yeah.
passionate about.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting, and I'm excited to see if it reaches somebody out there.
Oh, what was you?
They can reach me. My email is loveyouareunique@gmail.com.
Yes, and I'll have all the in the bottom of the
Yeah.
episode.
My phone number is 702-265-2236.
Well, I think cosmically it's gonna trickle in the international. We have an
Oh,
international audience, and
really?
so yes, and YouTube, and we're growing. I'm growing a little bit here. Everything in life, just putting my best foot forward and having these type of conversations is what people are looking for. New tools and techniques. Maybe somebody's never heard of the human design, and then they're
Uh,
listening it on now, and they're like, "Hey, I want to know what my authority is. I want to know."
uh-huh.
But thank you so much.
You're welcome.